Hey everyone. So today I got an opportunity to work on Docker, Postgres, Python setup in my local. I had a little challenge, in terms of accessing the Postgres database outside of the Docker. So I thought to probably I resolved finally, but I want to show to our community, probably the beginners, one who wants to understand the setup of how we can get the things done. So probably it would help them, how to set up the things, at least for basic setups. uh, uh, the Docker has a huge, complex structure for any application if you want to write it. Um, but 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 for we can start with a simple 5 to 10 lines of Docker setup, and then we can play around with the application. The whole idea is, as a data engineer, so we want to make the system ready for the business users or the data analyst to consume our data, right? So that is the whole thing. But so that's what the whole idea. So yeah, I just want to show quickly what I did on my application and what I was trying to do. Basically, I want to create a web application. In the web application, I need one backend database to access the data, including the authentication, authorization. That is the whole project idea behind the scene. But just for sake, I created the front end application using Fast API. It's a Python framework. So I just created the basic high level structure template. You just import the Fast API library, and then provide the asynchronous define function, and then I just return the common response, the hello world, right? So that is the whole template I have given here. And then I want to consume the both front end back end framework. So I don't want to install Postgres in my local laptop, and I don't want to use cloud service because I have to pay for that. So I realized, okay, there is an option in we can utilize VMware VM machines, or Docker kind of structure application. We can run the databases and the application. We can quickly evaluate everything. So and then I started exploring what is the option. So this is the whole Docker Compose YAML file. So this is something you could probably get it from the Docker documentation as well. But this is what I did so far. So we have just provide what exactly services, and eventually I want to use the port of 8000 to connect my the front end framework, and the database URL, as I want to use Postgres for my database. So I'm downloading the image. This is a database environment variable. So we can have this environment variable in a separate file when you go for a Kubernetes deployment cluster kind of thing. But we are not that level yet, so we are just setting the things in local to see how it works. And then it will download the latest Postgres image from the Docker hub. So by default, it's come up with a username and password for Postgres, but we can hardcode what password we want. So Postgres password and password. And then so this is a typical YAML file, I would say. And then in Docker file, we have to mention what is the Python environment version we want to use it. This is typically, within the Docker, you have to specify the file system directory and the working directory, and then copy the requirement files, because if you're from the Python background, you might understand the requirements.txt file. How critical is that for moving your code from one environment to another environment? that is the key point for the environment to start installing your package. So that is a typically it's doing here. It's just copying from the local to respective working directory in the Docker environment, and then just running that file and copy that and run the command. So this run command, this is the main app, which is nothing but this main program, main.py file, and Uvicon is the another asynchronous server which is supported by which well work with fast API, and then it is running on the local host or within the same Docker services, and the port is 8080. So this is the Docker file. So you obviously you can have more structured things we can add it, but for high level setup, I think this is well enough to things move. So once you start Docker Compose a build, that will start bringing download the images from the Python image as well as the Postgres image from from Docker Hub, and then it will download here. And this is running perfectly fine, right? So we just want to make sure this is running or not. So I'm going to check the URL localhost 8000. Yes, we have a beautiful output hello world, right? So where is the Postgres here? So we obviously we haven't set up anything in front-end framework to connect Postgres, but as part of the Docker Compose, the Docker image, we used Postgres. So if you remember, we used the Postgres database URL, and for a moment I'm just get rid of this thing. So let me bring down this. Bring down. Sorry. So I just remove the another port 5432 because I want to show what exact issue which I faced today. So now let it run back and see. Now I want to connect my Postgres database, which is running within the Docker container. I want to access this database outside the Docker container. So how could I do that? If you use pSQL manager, you can connect that, or you can download any client tools and you can start accessing that. So for my testing purpose, what I did is I just connect this. Downloaded my DB Visualizer is another client-based tool. As you see here, I am using the local host because localhost is the host which is running our Postgres, and then 5432 is the database, and then username and password. Let's try to disconnect and connect. What happened? So it's up and running. Let's take a look on our Docker. Okay, so in Docker we see two services running. One is a fast API with a web application which is serving on this port. That's just before we evaluated that. And then Postgres, it's running, but we're not able to access it, right? It because the database it's running within the container. So that's a same issue. There was an issue I was faced today. I was not able to connect. I believe this is the password. 543 connect. So 543 is connection to Postmaster. Okay, so what I went through the documentation and I went through the Stack Overflow and figure out if you want to uh, access the Docker container service outside of the Docker, you have to map the port outside of the outside of the Docker. So in this case, 5432 is a port which is running uh, within the container, Docker container. If I want to access the Docker with the same port, I have to just map that port like this. With the actual port mapping, it's called binding map. I mean, whatever the terminology, but it's a syntax, I would say. Uh, the 5432, the first 543 is within the Docker container port, and 543 is the port which I want to connect outside of the Docker. So yeah, so just save it and bring down the service once again, and then try to build and see now are we whether we can able to access or not. Before that, let's evaluate our application. Yes, it's working fine. And go to ping server. Yes, it's verified. Connect. Okay, connection attempt fail. All right. Actually, I need to restart the Docker service because I downloaded the many images which is got corrupted. So I restarted the Docker. So once you restart the Docker, generally in my case, so we can evaluate the backend this service like using this Docker compose exe C and DB. There's a database name, Postgres the username, and D is -D is the database. We can we can quickly check that the database is running or not within the Docker first. If it is this command is succeeded, then we are good. And now let's execute the same command or the DB visualizer client request now and see, and we are able to connect. So let's quickly revert this back and stop the game, down, build. Now let's reconnect. So this is the exact issue which I faced today, and I want to show the fix what I did. Probably that would help our community, the beginners, to quickly solve the issue if they come across the same thing. If I add it back, so basically this is a port which is outside of the Docker we are trying to connect. Stop this, down again, remove and build, running. Let's take a look on application. Working fine. Let's connect. Cool. All right. See you in next interesting topic.